Today we talk about rights. It's something that we've seen talked about a lot this year. What are our rights as Americans? What are our basic human rights? Is this an infringement on my rights? And are my rights being taken away from me? These are great questions to ask. And thankfully, we live in a country that has given us many wonderful things or rights that we can enjoy. But today I want to talk about our rights as Christians. Certainly, we as believers, as co-heirs with Christ and as kings and queens under the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, have been given many wonderful blessings to be enjoyed. You might call them rights. We are able to approach God's throne of grace with confidence. We have the right to be children of God, and many other beautiful things. However, these things are not entitlements, which sometimes we like to view our civil rights to be. They are bestowed to us by a loving God and Father. They are given, not earned. We're not entitled to them. You know, in Jesus' day, the Jewish leaders had twisted God's law and blurred the line between the political actions of a nation and the allowed actions of an individual. The rules that were given by God to reduce violence in a nation and to give power to resolving conflict to judicial systems had instead been twisted into entitling the individual with the right to retaliate in interpersonal relationships. You know, an eye for an eye or a tooth for a tooth. If someone wrongs me, then I will wrong them equally. It's only fair, right? It's my right to do so. But as always, Jesus speaks to these things and turns them upside down and challenges us to change the way that we look at them. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 38 through 42, he says this: "You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other also. And if anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, hand over your coat as well. If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2. Give to the one who asks you, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you." As far as our rights to retaliation, to convenience, to our possessions and time, Jesus says we don't have any rights. We are not entitled to them. When someone attacks you, whether maybe physically or verbally, what are you to do? Well, I can tell you what I would like to do. I'd like to fight back. I'd like to settle the score and get even. Maybe you feel that way too. And this isn't some sort of idea of being a pacifist. It's instead, our Christian response is to trust God in these times and to lay down our weapons and not retaliate. When our time and possessions are demanded of us, what are we to do? Should we guard them jealously and defend our right to them? Again, no. We are to freely give with the knowledge that nothing we have is truly ours. It has been given by God and is used best for His glory. When someone is in need and asks of us, do we in turn ask ourselves, well, what's in it for me? What do I get out of this? We should expect to give with receiving nothing in return, because we trust that God will take care of the things that we need. And it's no wonder that the Jewish leaders hated Jesus. These things are counter to our natural desires. Just reading them makes me want to argue. But this is the kingdom of God on earth. It's the fruit of His Spirit in our lives. Even our rights that are given by law, we should be prepared to lay them down if it furthers the gospel. Because we are citizens of His kingdom before and far above being citizens of the United States of America. Rob Timms wrote in an article entitled, "Do Christians Have Rights?" and said, "Instead of you and I insisting on our rights when we are grossly insulted," which is what the slap on the right cheek ultimately represents, we're to yield them up so that the gospel is made much of, not our so-called rights. So church, in this divisive time where people are literally screaming at each other on social media and on the streets about their rights as Americans, let us first follow Jesus' example, who laid down His rights as the creator of all things and laid down His life for us sinners. May we lay down our lives for our brothers and sisters. And if they try to take our rights away, so be it. Because the kingdom of God has never been impeded by the taking away of rights. In fact, that's when it spreads the most. We'll see you next time, church.